Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another Disney podcast. This is episode 49, and we're going to talk about what we think are the 3 must-dos at every park at Walt Disney World.
This is another Disney podcast production.
Hey, man, how are things?
What's up? Things are great. How are you?
Good. Cold.
Good.
But
Cold.
I'm indoors,
It's
so
not
it's
cold
fine. No, it's not.
No. I mean, it's been cold. You know, we've been in like the 70s.
Yeah. I mean, we're like 40s, 50s. I don't know what I'm whining about. You used to live here, you know.
I know.
I mean, I do like that we get the sprinkle of all 4 seasons, but I don't care about snow. So
Yeah.
cold
I don't
is
know
fine
what
for a
that
few
is
days.
anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is anymore. The only snow I see is when they blow bubbles at the end of the first.
Well, you're lucky to get a
celebration.
frost every now and then that like destroys all the orange groves. So
correct. Yeah. That's all we got. That's all we got.
Boy, this was a weird rabbit hole. Okay. Yeah. So we're going to talk about, as I said, we're going to go through all 4 parks. I know I said every park, but you know, all four parks, we're not the water parks, and 3 things that we think are like, you can't miss, even though we just did an episode a few weeks ago that was talking about don't believe these must-dos or whatever it's called. Everyone says these are must-dos. Well, we have our own that they like, hey man, you can't miss this. So same difference, whatever. Just take our advice or don't.
Yeah. I mean, these are things that if people came up to us and said, hey, I'm going to Magic Kingdom, or I'm going to Epcot, and I'm going to be there for like 4 hours. What do I have to do?
Yeah,
like,
that's the best.
What can I miss? These are kind of the things that we would say, make sure you do before you leave the park.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump in at everybody's coveted park, like you said. So you're only at Magic Kingdom for 4 hours. What do you got to do? Brandon, you want to kick it off, or do you want me to start?
Yeah. I can absolutely kick it
off. Let's go.
It's one of the things that we always do. And I mean, we go to the parks all the time. So we're not just going to be there for 4 hours or just once in our entire life. We do this all the time because you always want to document your time in the park. You're always going to get that Facebook ready shot, whether it's on your cell phone or whether it's on your, from the PhotoPass photographer. You got to get the shot with your group on Main Street in front of Cinderella Castle so that you can show your friends, show your people. Just, it's a quintessential shot when you go to Walt Disney World and you visit the Magic Kingdom. You need a picture of you and your group in front of Cinderella Castle. So I'm saying, don't miss the opportunity to do that. The best time to do that is when you get there right first in the morning, because it's the least crowded. Everybody's run to the attractions. Yeah. So
and you'll look your best.
And you look your best. You're not all sweaty and you all like each other. You don't want to throat punch your friends. That's a great time to get the picture. So
I feel like
make sure you get that
speaking
shot.
from experience. I have been throat punched 4 times from my Brandon.
I would never throat punch anyone in my friend's group at all.
Except for
and make sure you get a little closer to the castle. I mean, there will probably be PhotoPass photographers, starting about where they a quarter of the way into the Emporium, and then every 20, 30 feet up Main Street, there's photographers. Make sure you get up by the castle. That's where you're going to get your best photos. You're going to get your best view. Don't settle for the ones in the back just because they don't have anybody in line. Go stand in line for 10 minutes and get the good shot.
Yeah. Pro tip. Well, it's funny that you say stand in line for 10 minutes. I think it's exact opposite. Pro tip, and from my experience, any PhotoPass photographer that's on Main Street by the buildings typically have the longest line, because people are so excited and they want to get the picture taken, so they get to a photographer as soon as they can. But I have experienced, the further you get to the castle, there's less people in line for the PhotoPass photographer. And maybe people want that big wide shot. I don't know. Maybe I'm an idiot, but I like being closer. I love having the Walt and Mickey statue in there, the Friends statue. But your mileage may vary, of course, as when it comes to all this. But I typically have found that, like, if you hit it in the middle of Main Street, there's usually like 6 people in front of you, because that's the first couple of photographers they get to. Or if you go on down a little bit, it's a little bit better. Especially I found out, like, the fake Hubcrafts, like the couple that are right in that section, there's hardly a wait. And then it gets a little bit more of a wait as you get closer, like, to the Friend statue. But I don't know. Yeah. It's a can't miss. It is definitely a can't miss. We made sure we got that on the 50th for sure. Which typically we always forget. We're so used to going so much, we just kind of stroll on past, and then we're at the end of the day where we look our worst, and we're like, "Oh crap, we got to get a Main Street picture."
Yes.
So don't be
I
us. Don't be us.
Don't be us. Be smart, people.
Yeah. Okay. The next one, we're going to cheat a little bit, and that is, there's some attractions we think you should hit, and that is the three mountains. So I know that that's not one thing, but I thought we could combine it into the three mountains, which of course is Space Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain, and Splash Mountain. That's the notorious, and people always make it a big deal. Well, a lot of people make it a big deal that they want to ride all three mountains in one day, so they can say, I conquered the mountains. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we thought we'd each share what we like most about each one. So we'll start with the closest one, I guess we'll start with Space Mountain. And my favorite part about it is when it's over. I hate that ride. Next.
Yes, that I can absolutely attest to that. Dave hates that ride. He will always go on it. He will never not say, no, I'm not going on it.
I'll do it.
But the whole time we're in line, he will be like, this ride is awful. When we sit down in the car, he'll be like, this ride is awful.
This is going to be awful.
When it ends and he gets out, he'll say, that ride was awful.
And I never remember which side the picture's on. I always get it wrong.
That's true. That is true. That is true. And I'm always like, Dave, it's on the right. It's on the right. And then he always looks left. So it's completely true, but he'll always ride it. So make sure you get on Space Mountain. I love Space Mountain simply. It's a very simple fact. It's a thrill ride. It's one of the only thrill rides in Magic Kingdom, and it's in the dark. Like, how much fun is that? I remember the last time we went with Kimberly, your wife, like her and I were giggling like small school children when we rode that, because I know she loves that ride as well.
It's her favorite attraction.
It's just fun. It's in the dark. It's a thrill ride.
Yep.
There's not really any deeper meaning to that. I just like it because it's fun.
And what's funny is why you like it, that being in the dark, is why I hate it. I would have no problem with that ride, and I'll speak about it at Anaheim and Paris in a second. But what I dislike about that is I'm old, and like when it comes to having to brace, like I can't, I don't know which way we're going. And so I can't brace enough to know what to do. And so, that's why I dislike it. Like now in Anaheim and in Paris, it is super smooth. And when we rode it in Anaheim, Kim was like, "Oh, that's awful. It's not even close to the original. That ride is horrible." Like she hated it. And I'm all like, such a better experience, because you're like strapped in and it's real smooth, and they are completely different for sure. And so the other two around the world parks, I love. That one, I don't.
So Space Mountain, not your favorite, one of my favorites, but either way, it's one of those, you got to do it if you only have 4 hours in the park.
It's a can't miss.
It's a can't miss. So the next one we're going to go to, the second mountain, is Big Thunder Mountain.
Big Thunder.
Now, I love Big Thunder Mountain, and the reason that I love Big Thunder Mountain, and I think it's a can't miss, it's one of the only thrill rides. It's not truly a thrill ride. It's a fast train ride, but it's one of the only thrill rides that Krista, my wife, can actually ride with me. And she's not a big thrill ride gal. So the fact that she gets on this ride and seems to enjoy it allows me to enjoy it so much more. So it's great for little kids. It's great for the whole family. It's just a fun ride. So that's why I love Big Thunder, and I think it's a can't miss.
I would agree for that same thing. My kids have both loved it. I mean, we have, how many memories do we have of my daughter riding it with hands straight up in the air? And that is a throw you around ride. So whoever's riding with her is stuck holding onto her for dear life, because she has hands in the air, going nuts, screaming, laughing, so it's great core memories for me with riding with my kids. And our son's the same way, but he's not hands up yet. But he loves it. And I think that's the key to what makes Disney great, especially for families, is if your kids don't like thrill rides where they lose their stomach, there's quite a few, including Big Thunder Mountain, that is a big boy roller coaster, but doesn't have that, puts your stomach in your throat kind of feeling, which you and I love, but I know a lot of people don't. And so for that, and so besides my kids loving it and being such a fun memory for me through the years and every time we go, the other reason is purpose. The other reason is it is a great attraction to ride during the fireworks at night.
Yes,
super
absolutely.
cool. I've done that at least 2 or 3 times, and it's always like, this is amazing. It's just it kind of gives you that I don't know, hometown carnival feel, not in a carny way, but like that, you're riding the rides, the fireworks are going on in the background, you're with your family. Like, it's like, oh man, does it get any better than this? It's just kind of one of those fun things to experience that's unique. And typically the lines are shorter during the fireworks anyway.
Exactly.
So I would say that's another, and it's, again, it's great during daytime and nighttime. But like, it's definitely special to do it when the fireworks are going off. And the last mountain, I won't give away your reason, but that is Splash Mountain, and why you love it. And why I love it is like the level of wet you get every time is different. So that's kind of cool.
It's very different. And
it's a very, very, very long ride. It's one of those where the lemon is worth the squeeze. As I said in last episode, it's classic. I know that has unfortunately gained, it stuck its ugly head out of the time period that film that it's based after came off of, but Disney's making a change to that. And so I think it'll keep its roots for the most part, or at least I know we all have our fingers crossed, but I love it. It's like, unless it's a cold day, it's always one that I think is worth it. But in the summertime, you can expect some pretty substantial waits. Some wait times are pretty crazy, but Brandon, why don't you share why you love it so much?
Yeah, and I think the reason that I love it is pretty close to the reason that you love it. There's just to me, there's just something special about it, and I think it has to do with the nostalgic piece of it. Putting aside the movie that it came from, and the undertones that come along with that. I think just the ride itself, to me, it's quintessential Disney. Like, it makes me feel Disney when I'm on that ride. So, I mean, we used to talk about this all the time when I didn't live here and I lived in Maryland. If people said, hey, you can fly to Florida, get on a bus, go to the Magic Kingdom, ride one thing, and then get back on the bus and go home, what would it be? And my answer was always Splash Mountain. And I think it's just because the nostalgic piece of it feels like quintessential Disney. And it's, like you said, it's a ride that's worth the time. I don't mind waiting in line for an hour to get on Splash Mountain when the ride is 15 minutes. Like, to me, that makes it worth waiting in line. So
100%.
I love it. And I also love to ride Splash Mountain when the fireworks are going off, the same way that you love to ride Thunder Mountain when the fireworks are going off, because, once you get up the first hill and then you go down and you come around that first side where there's, the birds are singing in the little houses. If you look over to the left-hand side, that's where they're lighting the fireworks from. So it's a great viewpoint. And again, the lines are super low at that point because everybody's watching the fireworks. And if you've seen them a bunch, it's a great time to take advantage of that. So always going to be my favorite ride. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that when they transform it over to Princess and the Frog, that it's going to keep that quintessential Disney feeling. I think it will. I think they'll do some great things with it, but that is a can't miss. If you go to Magic Kingdom, you cannot not get on
it's worth
Splash Mountain. Unless you're going this month because it's closed for refurbishment.
Yes. But I will say, like, as someone who loves to go to the park and take pictures, one of my favorite pictures in the spot, and one of the best cell phone pictures I've ever taken, was at the top of the hill before the big drop, because I'm not holding my big camera up there with all the water. But if you've got a good grip on your phone, it is a incredible picture, especially during the daytime, to get a big wide angle of looking at the castle and the whole park in front of you from that vantage point. It's super cool.
Yeah. And if you're up there, just keep an eye out for the hidden Mickey that's at the top of that hill as well.
Yes. We won't tell you where it is other than that it's at the top of the hill.
It's at the top of the hill right before the drop. Yep. Keep an eye out.
Okay, let's round off our top 3 in Magic Kingdom with the next one. Go for it.
Yeah. So the next one is something that you cannot miss. If you go to Magic Kingdom for one day and you need to experience something, the attractions are great, the food is great, the shopping is great, but the one thing you cannot miss, and I'm so glad it's coming back early 2022, which is now. So hopefully it's coming back soon. And that is the Festival of Fantasy Parade. This happens at usually 3:00 every day at the Magic Kingdom, and it's. We always say it's the best parade because it's really the only parade, but it's a parade you cannot miss. If you're into characters, if you're into, just a fun experience and great music, like you cannot miss the Festival of Fantasy Parade.
Yeah. And it's really, parades as we know it have been gone for so long. So this coming back is, this is a huge deal. It's really, we've lost all of our parades at all the other parks many, many years ago. And we've lost our nighttime parks at our nighttime parades at Magic Kingdom. And so this one is, and it's it's great for princesses. It's great for other characters. It's a lot of classic Disney characters. It's just, it's amazing. And who knows what time it's going to be, because like you said, yeah, the OG time for that was 3. Then it moved to the 2:00 time slot for some reason for a while before they closed down. So I don't know where it's going to be when it's all said and done, but it's glad it's coming back. We talked about a few weeks ago that they were looking for talent and cast members to be a part of that show. So were there better parades in Disney's history? Of course. Like, to me, any nighttime parade blows away any daytime parade, period. But the fact that we don't have any right now, this is going to be a huge welcome back. I'm excited. I can't wait. All right, what park are we going to?
And I think before we move on, I was going to say, I think that they could easily make the Festival of Fantasy Parade a nighttime parade. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it would be a very easy transition. You look at the Boo to You parade, it's essentially the same type of parade with different music. But in the Festival of Fantasy Parade, easy transition to nighttime. You have a dragon that blows fire. That would be so much cooler at night than it is during the day. So part of me hopes that, maybe they would do one of those, run it once at 1:00 in the afternoon and then run it once at 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I would be totally down. And they could dress it up with the lights like they have that one at Disneyland forever. That one looks so cool at night, where they just LED'd everything. It's really cool.
Yes. Just put LEDs.
Just LED it. Okay, let's jump over to Epcot. And so if you've got one day at Epcot, and there's 3 attractions you must hit, let's jump in. I'll go with the first one, and that is definitely Test Track. Again, another one of the what do we call it? Like thrill ride attractions. Like, it's kind of cool, the first part, the indoor part, but when you open it up and go around the actual test track, and gets to your coveted, what is it, 64.5 miles an hour?
64.9 miles per hour. That's it,
64.9. It's really cool. I haven't been since they got rid of Fast Pass. Every time I went, it was like, everything's a walk-on at Epcot. Oh, and Test Track is an hour and 45-minute wait. So, like, the past couple of years, I haven't even tried. But I do love that attraction, whether you were, in the Fast Pass lane to, just, or single ride or whatever they called it, or with your family, and you're actually doing the whole thing where you get to make a car from scratch and see how it compares and all the tests. It's just a cool, since they've redone it. It was cool when it opened, but it's way cooler since they redid it. Because the first time when it opened, it was more like a crash test dummies, right? Where this is more of like testing the endurance of your vehicle, kind of a thing. So it's a dope ride. I would say, it is by far the thrill attraction at Epcot for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I usually never try to miss it. I usually, like I said, Krista doesn't go on thrill rides, so I'm usually by myself. So I take advantage of the single rider line. Last time my friends were there, they got in the regular line, and I was able to ride it 3 times in the single rider line before they got done the regular line. So if you're a single rider, or if your people in your family don't like to ride that, take advantage of the single rider line. It could come in handy. But yeah, I agree. It's a do not miss. If I'm with people that like that type of attraction, I always make sure that we try to get on it. So yeah, definitely don't miss that at Epcot. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good one. So the other one, the next one, is another one that you cannot miss.
Yes.
And we've talked about this on the show before. If you're going once, make sure you go over to the Land Pavilion, head down the escalator, and get on Soarin'. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Living with the Land. Dang it. False.
False. But yeah, great ride. It's just, it's something that you probably have never experienced in any other capacity.
Yeah.
Unless you've been to another Disney park, obviously, this is not a ride that is going to be copied anywhere. Yeah. You're not going to get this at a fair. You're not going to get this, at your normal amusement park. They used to have one. I think they used to have something similar that they tried to do at Busch Gardens Williamsburg that we got on one time, and it was awful.
Fail.
Like it just could not be emulated.
Was that the one with like the fairies?
No, that was yes. Yeah. Yes, I think it was
creepy.
Yeah, it was creepy and it was bad. But yeah, if you're going to Epcot one time, 4 hours, make sure you get on Soarin'. It'll be worth it, I promise. And sit in row B1. Yeah. Ask the cast member if you can wait for row B1, because that will be your best spot.
In COVID times, they might not always be able to, but typically in normal times, we've never had. They just say, okay, they let like 40 people go in front of you and just go the next round. But yeah, if you don't want to see some of the world attractions with this weird bend in it, B1 is definitely the winner. And to me, I like the original version better, which you can still see at Disney.
Agreed.
Oh gosh, why can't I think? Universe. Oh my gosh, I can't think of it. Though Disney's California Adventure, words are my favorite. The OG is still there, but one thing that hasn't changed is that amazing soundtrack. That is my favorite part of that attraction, is the soundtrack. And then when you're in it, it's obviously all encompassing because that screen kind of wraps around you, and it definitely gives you that sensation of Soarin', which is why they named it that. Yep,
that's why they named it that. Yeah, love it. Don't miss it.
Okay, and so it is no secret as we move into number 3 that we have at Another Disney Podcast, our team has single-handedly tried to change the name of this park to festivals. So because there used to be like a couple throughout the year, and now there's like 2 or 3 weeks out of the year that there's not a festival. And so, and that's just because they have to transition and change from one festival to the next. But that is, well, Brandon actually put festival, the Food and Wine Festival. And so, and I think that's fair, but my favorite one happens to be the one that I can't think of now, which is the art one.
Festival of the Arts.
There it is. It's really hard. Festival of the Arts. Some you can't really see if you're watching. That is from the Festival of the Arts, and what you can't see right there is another painting by which during that you have all kinds of artwork and some Disney legends. Well, not actual Disney legends, but people that have, like, this guy is super well known. I can't think of his name right now. And then the guy in the picture that you can't see that he drew did the background artwork in several animated movies, both of the Stitch movies, some other things. He's done some work for like EA Sports. Anyway, you can meet those artists. They can sign the prints and stuff that you buy. They have, it's not that much different than Food and Wine because they have special eateries that pop up. Yep. And wine. But yeah, so I would say if you're only going and you get to choose, pick a time during a festival, you can't go wrong.
That's fair. Yeah. Maybe we change that from Food and Wine Festival to just festival in general.
The name of the park.
Because it's just fun. There's lots of food booths. There's lots of, things going on, performances and things like that, whether it's art performances or singing or bands playing. Mm-hmm. They're just about to start the the Festival of the Arts, I think, is the one that's coming up, and they have Rock the Garden series,
they
and they
just
got Rick
dropped
Springfield
everybody.
coming,
Yep.
and all the great Starship and all those guys are coming back finally, which is super nice after the year of COVID where they had to cut all of that stuff out. So just make sure that you hit Epcot when there's a festival going on. Like we said, that's 99% of the year.
Yep.
There is a festival going on. I think like from May, maybe end of May to like August is when there's no festival. That's the only time that there probably isn't a festival going on. So if you want to come when it's super hot and Epcot's super boring, come at that time.
Yeah. Brandon mentioned a couple of them. So like some big names that jump out: Rick Springfield, Kool and the Gang, the Pointer Sisters, Starship, like Brandon said, Berlin, Toby Mac, the Commodores, A Flock of Seagulls. I love them. The Little River Band, Plain White Tees. That's kind of a big name from the early 2000s, isn't it? So hit up a festival or come when it's stifling hot.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
That's Epcot.
That is
so
Epcot.
Make sure, if you're coming for one day to hit up Epcot, do one of those three things and you will not be disappointed. I promise you.
Yeah. So now, next we're going to transition over to Hollywood Studios. And most people, I think, would go for the low-hanging fruit. But I think that you added one that I could not agree with more, that most people wouldn't think like, wait, you would pick that over this? And so let's talk about it. So number one, by far, like to me, is your can't miss. And if you can get there early, it's worth getting there early. That's probably going to be the shortest way to the day, is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which, not to spoil it, but if you've seen any of the recent years Mickey cartoons or Mickey shorts, it basically puts you in a Mickey shorts. That's all we'll say. Yes. It is unbelievable technology. It is all encompassing. It is a super, super cool ride. And as somebody who absolutely loved the It Should Have Been Updated Great Movie ride and never been lost, this is definitely a worthy replacement. Now, I know some people don't like that. I mean, I grew up with the traditional animation. I still love the old Mickey cartoons. We always watch the Mickey's Christmas Carol, which, is the traditional, what's his name? Scrooge story. And so I trust me, I love all of those as well. But I mean, this generation grew up with it. My kids, when they see those old ones, they're like, they're not,
what is this?
Yeah. They're not entertained, but the Mickey shorts, they're funny. Like, I mean, I find myself laughing at them. Like Isaiah and I were watching some this week. I would say, to me, and I know this is, even as a Star Wars fan, that's the only don't miss for me in that park. I mean, they're like, the number one don't miss, I should say.
I agree. And this one will always have a special place for Krista and I, because it was one of the first attractions that we went on once the parks reopened from COVID. So after they were shut down for 4 months, one of the first places we went to was Hollywood Studios. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway had opened right before COVID shut the park down. So I think it may have been open for 2 weeks, maybe, like they did cast previews, and then it might have been open for a week for the general public before the park shut down. So we were super bummed that we didn't get to go see it before
because it opened in March.
It did. Yeah. So when the parks reopened and there was no one there, which was an amazing time to be at Disney, one of the first things we did was went and got on that ride. And it was just awesome to experience a brand new attraction, because it was something that we had never been on. It was brand new to Disney. And it just kind of brought it brought the joy of Disney back. Like it's an amazingly fun attraction, and it was just awesome to laugh and just be at Disney again. So that ride will always hold a place in my heart. And I agree with you. I think that would be at my Hollywood Studios. Like if I could walk in the gate, ride one thing and walk out, it would now be Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yep.
And then the second one, this is the one that I think will throw some people for a loop, or that would disagree, but I couldn't agree with you more. And that's Toy Story Mania. Yes. I love that ride. I mean, now I know why other people will be like, well, wait, what's the one that's not because obviously we have 3, we have one more. Well, what's not included in this is the roller coaster that's in there. I can't remember
Slinky
names.
Dog.
Yeah, Slinky
Dog.
That is not. It is a great ride. It is themed to the T. The queue is amazing. It is. I've never waited less than 60 minutes, and it's not great. It's not. There's nothing that stands out about it. There's one thing, which you don't want to ruin it, where you stop in the middle and it gives you a sensation of something. But even that is kind of like, But like, if you don't have to wait 60 minutes, yeah, do it. But I've never had the privilege of like getting when they had a fast pass for it. And so I always had to stand in line, and it was never shorter than 60 minutes. I mean, that I'm not taking away from it. To me, it's just like not worth a 60-minute wait.
Yeah, I agree.
And obviously, if you've been a Disney Parks fan for a while, you know that attraction, meaning the Toy Story Mania, was the attraction in that park for years when it came out, and it had long lines. Yeah. Well, now everybody wants to ride Slinky, and it's barely ever more than 30 minutes. And they've added a third lane, if that's the right term. And so it goes even faster than it did. And it's just another like Buzz Lightyear that we talked about last episode, another great competition of how many points can you score. And what's cool is if you have if you have less than 4 people or 4 people or less, everybody in that car, you can kind of see who did the best. And so I don't know. I love that attraction. It's so unique, so different. And it like, to me, it's like Disney keeps doing all these things. There's nothing else out there like it. I mean, it's like literally like a moving video game.
It is. And I always remember one of the first times we went to Disney with you guys. That was back in the day when they opened the gate and you had to run back to Toy Story Mania and grab the paper fast pass to come back and be like, oh, we got one. It was kind of like the virtual. It was kids go back in time when you had to go get a piece of paper, and it was like the virtual queues are now. Like when the Rise of the Resistance, when that first came out, I remember getting to the park 4 a.m. Everybody's on their phone at like 8 o'clock when the park's open, and you'd hear people cheer, and you'd hear people yell over here, and you hear people boo over here because they didn't get into the virtual queue. That's what Toy Story Mania used to be like, but it was a mad dash. Like whoever was the fastest got there first.
100%.
So, yeah, I mean, that's a don't miss. Like if you get to Toy Story Land and you choose Slinky Dog Dash over Toy Story Mania, you have made a mistake, my friends. You will kick yourself. Agreed.
100%. But yeah, like, I mean, it's just a time thing for me as to why, like, I don't know. And it's considerably longer than Slinky Dog's Dash as well. Like that's a fun, long ride, and your arm is sore once you get out from shooting the entire time. It's just, it's so fun. All right. And our last one, which is kind of low hanging fruit, but go ahead and share it, Brandon.
Yeah. I mean, it's low hanging fruit, but again, there's not a tremendous amount of attraction selection at Hollywood Studios. So if you've never been there, you have to experience Galaxy's Edge. Now, that could mean whatever you want it to mean. And I know that kind of sounds like a cop-out. Like, we're going to tell you things you can't miss, but you have to decide what you can't miss. The responsibility is yours. But I say that because there's Smuggler's Run. There is Rise of the Resistance. There's a bunch of restaurants. There's a lightsaber building experience. There's a droid building experience. So you're not going to be able to do all of those things. No. It'll be physically impossible to do all of that in one day at Hollywood Studios. So pick which one of those things means the most to you. Yeah. If you're a huge Star Wars fan, Rise of the Resistance is probably going to be the number one thing that you need to try to do. They've moved away from virtual queues. You can go stand in line. That's what you will do.
For half your day.
But to me, for half your day, to me, I just love to go walk around Galaxy's Edge. It's so immersive. The level of detail that they have in that land is ridiculous, and I think it's a can't miss. Like even if you don't ride any of the attractions in there, go hang out in there for an hour and a half, and just take it in.
Yeah, and I will say one thing. I don't know if you heard this, but last week or a couple weeks ago, it dropped that. So when you go and do the lightsaber experience. You obviously leave with the lightsaber that you created.
Yep.
And it included like this, I will say this carefully, sheath that like had a arm strap that helped you carry it, and definitely helped you, especially if you were traveling by plane, made it easier to get on and off the plane. That is now no longer included. They will give you a bag. But if you would like it, that was now $50. Something that used to be included with that experience that's not going to get any cheaper and has gone up at least $30 since they originally started it, is now $50. I am not one to typically bash Disney, but that is absurd for what you're paying for that experience, for something that used to be included. Like, it's canvas and stitching. Like, I don't, anyway, I'm not going to go off on a Disney rant. It's fine. But you now have to pay $50, or you have to walk on the plane looking like a doofus.
Hobo. A hobo with you have to make like a knapsack with your lightsaber to carry your stuff around. Yeah. Awful.
I love you, Disney. Quit nickel and diming us. Or
thank you.
Or Hamilton and granting us. They're on the 10 and the 50 if you didn't know.
That was pretty impressive. You pulled that out that quick.
Most things I can't, but I got lucky. Okay. All right. I think that wraps up our third park, and we'll bring it home with the Kingdom of Animals.
With the Kingdom.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Kick us off.
Yes.
Because this is, I know, is your jam.
So this is my jam. Expedition Everest, 100%. Again, Animal Kingdom suffers a little bit from lack of exciting attractions. So to me, this is 100% can't miss. I think the most times I've ridden it in a row is like 15 in a row, 10 of those without ever getting off of it. If you love roller coasters, if you love smooth roller coasters that you don't really lose your stomach, this is the ride for you. It's just a great thrill ride. It's got great theming, and the queue usually moves pretty quick. Even if it seems long, it continuously moves. Yep. So you're not going to stand in line forever. During the COVID times, Dave and I talked about, they had this physical distancing and the line was all the way back to the Finding Nemo theater. And we still only waited for like 25 minutes. So the line moves, and it's just a great ride. So I would say if you are in Animal Kingdom when it reopens again after April, don't miss Expedition Everest.
Yeah. And if you think they're fixing the Yeti, they're not. Sorry. Just had to throw that in there.
Disco Yeti is here forever.
Okay, let's transition to, I would say is probably your favorite attraction at the park, which is hard to believe after what we just talked about. And this is one that is typically not my jam, but I'm going to say after the last 2 times that I've been, I must have just gone at the right time of day or got lucky, but it was really, really good. And I know that the cast member sometimes can also make or break the experience. And of course, we're talking about the safari, unbelievably unique to any park around the world. This totally you want to talk about immersive. I mean, they take you to the Serengeti, to the Pride Lands. I mean, it's unbelievable. I do enjoy the original story, but I also understand that it was mortifying for children and why it went away. But I do love the original message about if you don't know, it used to be about like, basically there were some poachers that wanted, I think, the husks of elephants. And so, but there was at one point where it looked like that they had like destroyed a camp, and it's like, where are they? And they're getting, so it was it's a little terrifying. And that at one point it made it seem like you were in danger kind of, and so I get the why, but I loved the story around it that kind of brought the whole, hey, this is why it's important to have these safe places for animals and to protect animals in the wild. But I know for a fact, it might be your favorite attraction. Well, it's outside of Splash Mountain. This might be your favorite attraction in all of the parks.
I definitely think it is right up there. It might even be a close second behind. It might be a 1A and 1B situation with Splash Mountain. I love the safari. The thing I love about it is it's different every single time. And that sets it apart from most any Disney attraction, aside from Star Tours. If you ride it 50 times, you may get 50 different endings, but eventually you're going to get the same thing. The safari, you could get on and you could see every animal that's on that they have there, or you could get on there and see no animals. And the beauty is you could get on there. You could be like, that was the worst safari I've ever been on. You could get off the truck, get right back in line, ride a safari again, and have a completely different experience. So I love it. And I love the fact that you used to say, like, that's not my jam, I'm not doing it, but you just admitted that the last 2 times you went on, that it was great.
It was
so
good.
I think that I'm slowly
turning
you to I'm converting you to a fellow lover of the safari.
That's right. Well, I did see a picture this week on social media that I know wasn't fabricated, and that was something I've never experienced. There were 2 animals on the safari that were practicing procreating. I have never seen that before, and that was shocking.
See that picture.
That's a difficult one to explain to the littles.
Yeah.
What are they doing? They're dancing.
Yeah, they're hugging it out. They're hugging it out for sure. Yeah, I've never experienced that on the safari, but it'd be kind of funny to hear what the guides are trained to say in that case, or if they're just trained to hit the gas.
Stand on it, Billy. And then let's end with again, probably low-hanging fruit, but there is nothing else like it in the world. Yes, I'm going to say in the world, and that is Flight of Passage. It is a mind-blowing attraction. I will never. There are several things that I remember that will stick with me forever when it comes to Disney. And this one is probably at the top of the list. I remember I wrote it for the first time with my daughter, and I audibly gasped and said, "Oh, wow," probably 4 times the first time I wrote it. I have never, ever had an experience like that on a ride or attraction, or really doing anything in the world that I've ever done. Probably the closest thing that came to it, and I didn't audibly gasp, was at the Bellagio. There's a Cirque du Soleil show called O. That is probably the most amazing thing that these 2 eyes have seen. But this, as far as a ride and attraction at a theme park, is second to nothing. It is a unbelievable experience. And to cap it all off, if you go at night, the world of Avatar, how it comes alive, mind-bending.
I agree. It's one that I try to never miss. Back in the days of Fast Pass, there was always a trick that if you signed out and signed back on right on the hour, you could always get one. So
remember
we usually wrote it every time that we went. And it's just, if somebody new comes in that's visiting and we go visit them at the park, we always say, we have to go wait in line for this. Like, we live here, we've been on it 100 times. We will wait in line with you because it's just that amazing, and we want to experience it with you. We've talked about this trick. The easiest way to do it is wait till 2 minutes before the park closes, get in line 1 minute before the park closes. They have to let you ride it, and it'll be your shortest wait, but it's absolutely a cannot miss attraction. It is amazing, and like Dave said, there is nothing in the world like it anywhere. It's phenomenal.
It's good. I don't know why we never thought about this. I don't know, I've talked about this more than once on the show, but I love it. Like, why is it worth waiting till 30 seconds before the park closes to do it? Because no one else can get in front of you. That's why there is no paid, because that's one of the paid ones that you can do with Lightning Lane, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, so nobody's going to get in front of you. Like, that's the advantage. And so you're probably going to wait like your pizza 30 minutes or less. Guaranteed.
It's probably 30, 45 minutes if you get in right at the end of the night, bro.
Yeah, it's great. Obviously, it depends on the line in front of you and how long it has been. But yeah, that's a great trick. I mean, that'll work with any attraction at any of the Disney parks, but I can't think of many that is worth it. Like, I guess one that would be worth it is Slinky Dog's Dash, right? I guess if you got but I've never been in that park that late to experience that to see if it's worth it.
I agree.
So yeah, that's it. Those are our 3 things that we think you can't miss. If you're going to the park for one day, or really anytime.
Yeah. Or anytime. Yeah. Anytime you go, if you only can do a limited amount of things, these are the things that we really think you should try to concentrate on, just because it'll give you the best experience at each park.
Right. Yeah, man. Okay, we're getting close, man. I'm coming to visit you. It's not a very Disney vacation. I mean, I'm hoping that we can maybe go to Epcot that Thursday night that I chime in, but if not, I get it. But we're getting close. We'll be within, we're recording this on the 26th of January. So that's less than a month. I'm excited.
That's less than a month. I'm stoked. I'm ready.
Can't wait. Oh, and I need to connect with you and let you know. It may be sooner than I think. We have a mutual friend of the podcast that's going to be in the world of Disney soon. So I need to find out when they'll be there and see if you guys can't connect. It is the Fuzz. The Fuzz is going to be
Fuzz. There's a lot of people coming. I think the Fuzz is coming. I think Disney Assembled will be here. Sometime relatively soon. Mm-hmm. And then our super fan, what was her name? Judy L. Was that her name?
Yes.
I think that was our super fan's name. She's supposed to be here sometime in January. If you're listening, reach out to us. Let us know when you're here. And we'd certainly love to try. I don't know if that's her name.
I'm going to look it up real quick.
I feel like it is.
So she doesn't get mad at us.
It is. I apologize. Don't get mad
at us. Her family is awesome. I got to find my app. It is... I don't remember the name of it, Brandon Stahl.
Oh, goodness. You want to hear a funny a funny joke?
Go for it. Oh, wait.
I forgot it.
That is a funny joke. I know it starts with a J, so you're going to be close. I'm there. Joy. Forgive us for calling you Judy, but it was close. It's got to be within the next week or two that you're going to be there. Actually, I'll look it up and tell you. I'm not going to announce it on the show.
We're super old. We're super old, Joy.
Joy will be there. I'm pretty sure it's in the month of January.
It probably is like right now. It probably already happened.
It might be. I will let you know. All right, fam.
All right.
Until next week, enjoy all things Disney. That doesn't make any sense. Ride the 3 rides and attractions and visits that we all think you should do. And buy a $50 sheath. And with that, we're out.
And goodbye.